Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger. This video, we're going to be talking about the origins of the erosion bird, also known as morphine opium bird. This is a computer-generated meme. It's blowing up over on TikTok. Now, first of all, I got to say I'm a full-grown man. I like women, not into little girls dancing around in their underwear. So I'm not on TikTok at all. Also, I'm not making this video in support of any drug use. That's between you and your doctor, and you've really got to be careful with opiate medication. That being said, we'll pop over on to the internet, take a look at the erosion bird imagery. It is a computer-generated image of this horrific, terrifying bird in an Arctic setting. Sometimes it will have a human companion. It emits a pheromone, and you'll get enticed into contact with this bird, and then you'll begin dancing against your will. I've heard several theories about this. There's a record label, Opium Records, and the rappers wear the similar white feathery clothing. As far as the origin story goes, we're going to be looking into that in this video. The word is derived from the ancient Greek word Morpheus, who is the god of dreams. Now, I have degenerative spinal disease. I have a couple L5, L4. I got a messed up back, and I have chronic pain. I was at the nation's highest rated pain clinic, which is Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, for many, many years. I'm a chronic pain patient, so I have snooped around online, and they say done research. I've Googled, and one of the things when I was first offered this prescription, I went looking for people who had taken morphine and their personal experiences for it. I found a pain patient forum where people who were taking these drugs for some time were there discussing their life experiences. And there was a thread about dreams. Now, you think about morphine, it's the god of dreams. Okay, so you take this pill and it kills your pain. It gives you this euphoria. It's dreamlike. It turns your real life experience, makes it almost like a dream. This is one way to look at it. Now, the other side of that coin is if you're taking this stuff for a while, it can amplify the reality of your dreams. It can make you have these really vivid dreams, really intense dreams. It's typically like 3 to 5 months into taking this. You'll start experiencing this for a while, and then things will go back to normal. So I'm reading, this is many years ago, and I went and looked for proof of this to bring to you guys today in this video. I was unable to find it. Maybe you could take a look, and you could do better than me, but what I remember finding, and I remember telling this story to a few people. I'm in this forum, and there's a thread on dream life. And it's like, I don't know, but ever since I started taking this, my dreams are incredibly realistic, and everyone's agreeing. And then I read the people talking about it. It's real. The morphine bird is a real thing. Other people have seen it. This thing comes in your dreams, and it puts a paralyzing, you don't dance. People that see this entity are stricken with a primal sense of fear. I remember one guy saying he had laid down, he's looking at the ceiling, and he drifts off to sleep, but he's dreaming now, and he's seeing a ceiling, and it begins to darken. And in super ultra 1 frame per minute slow motion, the shadow begins to move across the ceiling. It's not a shadow as it is so much as a complete absence of all light. It's deep, infinite blackness that he's seeing. And he begins to focus and make out a form. It's the bird. And he looks into its eyes, and he is struck with a sense of impending doom, just this primal fear. And other people describe seeing the same thing. and they said it was the most terrifying experience of their life. They said they had never seen anything like it. I remember one guy said he stopped taking it because it shook him up so much. So that is another side of this. These things manifest themselves. These are real entities. Now, if you were to talk to someone, a witch doctor, a psychic, these types of people, even there's like, certain religions, their spiritual leaders will tell you it's a demon, and this thing represents the spirit of addiction, all the sorrow and suffering, the pain, and the euphoria. That's what this thing is. This entity, it's a bird, the morphine bird. They call it the erosion bird, and it has broken through. Somehow, it's shown up through AI, which is really scary if you think about it. That is really scary to think that something from the nether realm, spiritual realm, is able to connect with the computer and break through. It's really something. And it's weird because if you know what's going on right now, there's been a shortage of hydrocodone 10, like nationwide. Like there's a bunch of pain patients are going through withdrawal, and it's like people can't get their medicine, and the heroin is gone. There's no more heroin. It's all fentanyl now. There's all this weird stuff going on. Like in the old days, people could shoot up 2 to 3 times a day and they'd be fine. Well, if you look into the half-life, also what alkaloids are in the different drugs, because like they all have different withdrawals, and they'll be like, you'll hear, oh, heroin withdrawal's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as fentanyl, or Subutex Suboxone is like, it's really bad because of the half-lives. And people will think, oh, I can dodge the bullet, I can just make some PST. Well, when you consume PST, you're getting the full spectrum. All of the alkaloids are in there, and it's got the ibane, is it? It's the one that's really bad. That's the alkaloid that you don't want to get addicted to, because the withdrawal that's the worst one. So it helps to arm yourself with information and learn a little bit about this stuff. You can look at the r/chronic pain, r/opioids. You can learn stuff there from people who have been through this, who are much more, because I'm not a intravenous, like I'm not a heroin guy. I have my pain medication and I don't abuse my script. And I have done some poking around. I hate to say research. That implies a library, a big table with a bunch of books on it, not typing a single word and hitting enter on your duck duck bird. I'm sorry. So there's a lot of stuff going on specifically relating to opiates right now, and it's just interesting to me that this thing has manifested itself in the real world, kind of. I mean, it's kind of halfway on the computer, on the internet, but it's still, I mean, you can't touch it, but you can see it. That's just insane to me, because it appears to me the people who created this thing were unaware of that. But like, none of the people that are putting this out into the world are saying this bird comes in your dreams when you're using morphine. None of them are saying that. They're just saying, here's this computer generated image of this bird, and they're calling it the morphine bird. So this is a really, like, it just completely blew my mind when I found this today. It's a reasonably new meme. It showed up in September. And I just found out about it today, and immediately the bells went off you know what this is. And then I remembered reading in those forums years ago in like around 2007, I looked into this and found out what I found out, that multiple people have seen this. When they're taking morphine, they'll be in this hyper-realistic nightmare where this bird comes, and when you look in its eye, it will paralyze you with fear. And I remember telling, like I told my brother about it. We were both laughing about it because it's one of those things. It's a universal. It's like the Jungian archetypes, if you know what those are. Carl Jung was a philosopher. He was a psychedelic guy, and he did this book that he didn't release it. It was like his own book. He was a brilliant guy, and it's full of these archetypes, and they're different things that exist in this realm, in the unconscious, in the spiritual, in the fifth dimension. But they're universal, and they represent, they have an identity that's like a real universal identity and what they symbolize, but it's not a concrete thing. It doesn't really exist except for in our minds and our dreams, and when they appear, they mean the same thing universally. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating stuff, and this stuff always points to, maybe you maybe you would want to put your rear end in a church pew on Sunday morning. It's pretty fashionable to say, like, I hate organized religion and all that, but there's nothing fashionable about rotting in the pit of hell. And of course, there's a lot of people that don't believe in any of that. But they believe in intelligent design, and they believe that there's some universal intelligent force, but they do not subscribe to what is in the Bible, simply because a man wrote the Bible. Now, that's not what it says in the Bible. It says, cursed be him that adds or takes away a single word from this book. But that doesn't change the fact that this book was handed from the tongue of the Creator to a man. So we have the infinite and the pure being filtered through this temporal, just a mess. Human beings are the worst. Anyway, you guys, I'm not a pro, like, yeah, you should experiment with drugs and opiates make you feel great. That's not me at all. If you look going back, fentanyl first really appeared in 1988. It showed up in Pennsylvania. They had all these people dying, and then they busted a lab. And in the lab, they found what they were making was heroin. It was called China White heroin. And this is different heroin than what had been coming around before that. Was always brown. They call that Karachi. And it's a powder, and it's brown colored. Almost a reddish brown, And the China White was like, you can sniff it. You didn't have to intravenous, bang it. You could snort it, sniff it, insufflate. And this is much more, So, China White is not heroin. It's fentanyl. And this is why, people are overdosing. Now, if you're ever in a bar, you're in the restroom of the bar, and someone offered, hey, do you want a bump? Well, no one gives away free cocaine in a bar. If someone's offering you free drugs, it's not blow. It's going to be some kind of weird 2,3-VY research chemical, and you're going to be tearing your face off in 15 minutes. Or it's China White. And that's how a lot of people had their first experience with an opiate, because they'd be at some bar and they would think, oh, a little tootski. I can have a couple more drinks and drive home and not worry about it. It's just going to give me a pick-me-up. What kind of cocaine was that? Cocaine? That was heroin. And then, of course, now you've crossed that bridge. And I'm sure a lot of people, that was their first experience with it. That's the gateway. It was through this China White. it's fentanyl. It's not heroin. I know. Trust me, I know. That went around my scene. I was in a band, and we lost a guy. We had a guy overdose and die. So there's no more heroin. It's all fentanyl in the United States, and it's really hard to find heroin anywhere else in the world. There may be places like Turkey or Afghanistan. You may be able to find some heroin, but for the most part, it's what they're selling as heroin is not. It's all fentanyl. And if you understand a drug's half-life and you look into that stuff, you'll learn that fentanyl has a very short half-life. This is why they like it for surgery, because it works just long enough for them to get the job done, and then it wears off. Now, in the old days, the junkies, the people who were intravenous heroin users, would be able to 3 times a day and they'd be fine. Even maybe twice a day even. They'd be fine, because the drug lasts that long. That would be enough to keep the WDs at bay, the withdrawal symptoms at bay. Now, we're talking about fentanyl. The half-life of that drug is way shorter. So people need to use 6 times a day. This is what's so scary about it. I'm saying there's this shortage. You can't get certain prescription pain pills now. So people are going through withdrawal and they're thinking, oh man, I'm just going to go cop. I'm just going to go and get something off the street, whether that's a pill or some powder, some heroin. Well, the pills are fentanyl. They may look like it's an oxycodone. Here's a Roxy, dog. It's not. They have pill presses. It's fentanyl. That's what you're going to get. And the dope, the problem with the fentanyl being so fast acting and fast wearing off, they started adding another ingredient into it that's called xylazine. I made a video about this 8 months ago. 3 months ago, Biden had an emergency meeting and they announced that there's this crisis. I've been aware of the xylazine problem for a while, and they're putting it in the dope because they figure, well, this is this heavy-duty animal tranquilizer. They were able to steal it or get it, however, maybe they're stealing it from veterinary clinics, but they're putting it in the heroin because it would knock you out. When you shoot up, it would knock you out. And from what I understand, you wake up and you're in withdrawals. So it's really bad. And the horrific part of it is the xylazine, the human body is unable to process it. So the way it leaves our systems is it creates a massive lesion. And people are losing limbs and they're dying from xylazine. So it's really, really scary stuff. And this is why if I make a video and I go, hey guys, I need you to smash that like button and we're going to talk about the opium bird, I've got to do my part to keep it real. And I don't mean to, don't mean to scare the kids. It's not what I'm here to do. But it needs to be said because it's everything I've said here in this video is true. So you guys, be smart, be safe out there. Try to keep warm. It's starting to get chilly here in Chicago. What I really need you to do is hug your pets. If you've got a little buddy, if you've got a cat or a dog, just show them some extra affection. You know, brush them out, give them a treat, give them a hug. That's what I always say. Hug your pets. Life is short. I leave you with the holy word. Peace.